Are the adult leaders stealing the spotlight from your youth leadership? Hey, ScouterStan, let's talk a little bit about adult leaders taking over a youth-led meeting. This is something that can be quite serious. Youth-led meetings are meant to be for the youth. Adults don't do that. Now, today's topic is a little sensitive with some adults. They feel that they need to make sure that they're there to kind of corral and run things. That's not necessarily the way it's supposed to be. They're supposed to manage in the background. That's what their role is. The youth run their meetings. Now, this could be a troop meeting for youth. It could also be a PLC. That can also be a youth meeting that they would run. The adults are there to advise, and they're there in the background. Now, one of the big things is that we have been trained, I hope. All Scoutmasters and assistant Scoutmasters should have gone through the training. And we talk about how the youth meeting is to be run completely by the youth. Now, in a scout troop, it is specifically designed to empower the youth to take up their leadership and run that meeting, planning that meeting, and making sure that that meeting goes the way they want it. That's really what the youth should be mentored, coached. That's what the Scoutmasters are doing. Occasionally, they might bring in a Scoutmaster or a guest, an adult, to cover a subject. So that's something that does come up from time to time. But it's a very small window, and the youth are in charge of that meeting. Now, during the meeting, it's very important that the Scoutmaster takes notes. They should not interrupt the meeting to kind of coach and to mentor the leadership. If that's the case, then they need to move aside, away off stage, and move aside so that they can give that information to the youth so they can better do what they want to do in that meeting. That's not something where the Scoutmaster calls a timeout and takes over. That's never appropriate. It's a youth meeting. And on a side note, this is something that's very important. No one joined scouting to be in boring meetings. No one. They all joined for adventure. So make the meeting youth meeting. Okay? If you have an adult meeting and it's all the adults and all that stuff, that's fine. But the youth have to have their own. And that's the critical part. They have to learn. They have to learn those leadership skills on how to run a meeting. Many youth get very upset when the adults take over the meeting. This is a huge disappointment. They had a plan, and they need to be mentored and coached towards executing that plan. When the adults take over, they feel undermined, and that's not the thing to do when you have a structure like a senior patrol leader or assistant senior patrol leader. You don't need the Scoutmaster to come in and override. That's not their place. It's more important that they lead their meeting. The later, taking notes like any good Scoutmaster would, they need to talk with that leadership and work with them to come up with a better meeting. Very important. Now, sometimes as an adult leader, we do have an occasion to kind of panic, okay? That's one of the crazy things about scouting. We always say that scouting is a safe place to fail. If the meeting is crashing and burning, that's okay. That's a learning moment. That's an opportunity for a life lesson for youth. And that is a critical thing to understand about meetings. We do not need to jump in immediately. And you would be very surprised. If you have a shaky meeting, they get better over time. And that's one of those things that the youth are learning. And that's a skill. That is an actual skill that they're going to need way into the future. So learning how to run a youth meeting, the youth that are running it, that is important. As adults, we need to sit back. We need to let that meeting occur the way it's been planned. Now, before we go any further, I do want to invite you to our monthly meeting. It's on the first Sunday of each month, and it's at 9 p.m. Eastern Time. So you're more than welcome to join us and ask questions and just have fun. You know, that's one of those wonderful things about that meeting. I also want to thank everybody on Patreon for their continued support of our channel. And our channel members. You can be a channel member. You hit the join button and join up. There's all kinds of badges and emojis and different things. They even get the videos exclusively for themselves, ad-free, which is an added bonus. And then, of course, if you don't want to join in and do a monthly donation, you could always do a one-time donation by hitting the thanks button. So get involved. I really do appreciate all that you do in scouting and here on the channel. Now, we all have the desire to succeed for the youth. We want that. And we've mentored them and we've helped them and we've coached them. This is something we do. And it can be overwhelming. You want them to succeed and then you want to jump in and say, oh, don't forget this. No. If they forgot that, that's okay. You can always make the correction later. It's important that they run their meeting. That's the important bit. Now, a wiser man than me once said, you learn more from a mistake than doing it right. And that's the thing. If they make a mistake, it's okay. As long as it has nothing to do with safety, then we're okay. So that's something that can be corrected. That's something that can be fixed. And the youth need to be doing that. And as a leader, you need to keep that in mind. Don't take that opportunity away from them. You want them to have that opportunity. Now, it's also important to keep in mind that there is a structure. You have your patrol leader, and the patrol leader is part of the Patrol Leaders Council, and then of course you have your assistant senior patrol leader and the senior patrol leader. So there is a structure. The youth, all of the youth, can report to someone an issue, a question, and kind of follow that structure. And that's very important. Don't supersede that. That's one of the things that a lot of adult leaders say, oh, no, you got to ask him. You got to do that. If the individual should know if that's a question that they're responsible for. So this is a learning environment. And that's the thing about a youth meeting. It's a learning environment. Always keep that in mind. Let them be youth and go through that process and learn. Youth leaders should always be front and center of a youth meeting. The scoutmaster should be behind, backstage, or off the side. They should not be the only person up on stage and having the senior patrol leader perform in front of them. That's the structure of a youth meeting, is the youth run that meeting. The older adults should be in the back of the room. Okay? They can be in other meetings even. As long as you keep the two deep leadership, that's the important thing in any youth meeting, any youth gathering. You have to keep the guide to safety. That's important. And you have to keep youth protection in play at all times. That's really what the adults are there for, to mentor and coach the youth towards their goal. It is absolutely incredible to witness youth learning those skills. That is absolutely incredible, and it's a gift to a lot of the adult leaders when they can plan their own meeting and do their own meeting. That is That is so wonderful because their plan is to succeed. And as an adult leader, helping them make those moral decisions and those decisions of what they're working on and as far as the meeting, that is critical. And helping them do that is a huge reward. So always remember, if adults have a tendency to get involved in a youth meeting when they shouldn't be, pull back. In fact, step back so that the youth can step forward and succeed. Transitioning from a youth leader to an adult leader is challenging, and I have a video. Please check that out, and I'll see you next time on the trail.